Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh and Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned. My friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Happy Monday, everybody. You're watching Creator Spotlight, the multi-award-winning podcast, I must say. And tonight's guest, I'm so eager to get to this. This is awesome. So our guest was a hit over on Still Token With, an absolute blast talking with him. We had to have him on our show. But as always, my name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard. And as always, Patsy, how's it going, my friend?
I was going to say, you better make sure you announce how many awards you actually got. You got a whole bunch of awards, and I was very happy to be a part of that award ceremony because Leo, because he won't say it, he's just talking about the podcast. Leo himself took the title of Best Host in one of the most heavily contested categories that we had last night, and Best Overall. So congratulations to Leo.
Well, thank you. And I have to say, you and Ashes did an awesome job with the announcements. But I love watching you guys. It's
I appreciate it.
Always do a great job. And as always, I keep on saying that. Philip, how's it going, my friend?
Leo, what's going on? And once again, I have to thank you for inviting me to this podcast, be a co-host, because we're winners, right? I mean, you're the man. You brought me here, so I'm thanking you.
Hey, we're all winners. It's not just what we did; it's who we met along the way, or however it goes. But Patsy, would you like to introduce our awesome guest?
I would, and actually, I'm just going to read right out of his biography because that's a pretty awesome description here. He has been a master-level psychic comedian and spiritual advisor for over 3 decades and has helped change the lives of thousands of individuals who have turned to him for answers and guidance. His strong faith and natural intuitiveness, coupled with his ability to provide emotional understanding, makes him the preeminent spiritual therapist with foresight. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mr. Artie Hoffman. Artie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I feel very privileged. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Well, thank you. No, it's always cool being able to share time and on a radio podcast. And congratulations, guys. That's super awesome. And my whole life is spontaneous. So this goes right along with the program. We have no clue what we're going to talk about until the moment happens. So I'm prepared for everything and anything.
Oh, totally.
I noticed that the promo said something about nudity and strong language, so I don't know how much we have to take off.
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, well, a dog may walk across the screen on mistake, so and they're always naked. So there you go.
Yeah, but with YouTube's guidelines, we make sure we put that in there because we don't want to make any their guidelines are really strict. So we got to make sure that just in case, like if we had a guest on that had a trailer that had explicit content. So it's just to make sure we're protected.
It's nice though how we put it. We wink, nod, so to make it a little funny. So.
I get it. Talking sexuality protected. Okay, we get it.
So I know Patsy did a great job with your bio, but would you like to explain to everybody what you do?
Let's see. I'm a psychic. A psychic is somebody who talks about the past, present, and future. I'm a medium, somebody who communicates to people's loved ones who have crossed over. I'm also a life coach. I'm a spiritual advisor. So I help people get through their personal stuff. And people call me their psychic therapist. So what I have an edge over most therapists is that I'm very intuitive. So not only do I hear what they have to say, but I already know on the depth of why they're in their emotional drama, usually. And I just get right to the core of it. So it's not always the problem that's the problem. It's how you choose to handle your issues. It's how you look at it. And that's where the healing comes from, So, but people just keep on festering over the problem, and this person stinks, and that person sucks, and this situation stinks, and that, and what are you going to do about it? So a lot of times it's just the way you look at it is what helps you, get through it all. And I always tell people, don't ever tell anybody just to get over it. Don't get over it. You want to get through it.
Now, out of those three things that you mentioned, medium and whatnot, which are the ones that, which of the three is the one that you, I guess, really, really do the most? The things that you enjoy the most out of those?
Oh, I forgot to mention the fourth, comedian.
Oh, there you go.
I joke around a lot when I do what I do. But I'm serious when I have to, but I try to do everything lightly. Literally, it's with no exaggeration, it's an even keel across the board. I skip beats. Now, there are people who do just psychic. There are people who just do medium. And I happen to do both. And plus, it's all about life coaching. So, helping people. I would say that is probably the most rewarding thing, is giving people back their power. When people come to see me in a very vulnerable state, and I would say, I could honestly say about 99%, 98, 99% of the people who see me, they leave from me feeling more empowered or better about themselves or healed. So I'm going to tell you my number one favorite reading that I've done. I've read for over 33,000 people. Wow. But there is one person who sticks out, and you'll understand it once you hear the story. It's not a long story. So a gentleman gives me a call, and he says, Art, he goes, I'm really going through some rough times, which we all are. He says, but he goes, I really need to see it. And I could hear it in his voice. He wasn't saying, hey, Art, can you talk to me? I'm going through some hard times. But you could tell the guy was desperate. And so I said, sure. I said, I'll make time for you. I'll see you tomorrow. So he comes to my place the next day, and he walks in. Now, I don't know why I say what I say when I'm with someone. There's no protocol. There's no pre-planned things to say. It's just all in the moment. And so anyway, I was talking to him about the meaning of life and the beauty of life in the big picture, even through all the darkness. And then I started to mention to him the meaning and the significance of his life. and what he could do. So I changed his perception. I kind of rewired his way of thinking, and I changed his perception on how he views himself, all the relationships in his life, meaning family, besides, lover or anybody else, kids, everything. And also his view about God, spirituality, and the whole 9 yards. And I wasn't doing evangelistic stuff on him. I was just talking from one man to another. But he didn't really say much. I was just speaking from my heart, and I was explaining things to him. And after I got finished speaking with him, he gave me, it was an hour session. He gave me a great big hug, and he goes, "Art, you're a lifesaver." And I said, "Oh, thanks. I'm glad I can help out." Now, a lot of people will say, "Hey, Art, you're a lifesaver. You're great, but whatever." But he really meant, he says, "Art, you're a lifesaver." And I said, "Okay, I'm glad I can help." He goes, "No, you don't understand." He goes, "I wrote a suicide note, and I wanted to kill myself tomorrow morning. And after speaking with you," he goes, "I don't want to do that anymore. I want to live." And so I know, and I just got chills in my spine just as I'm telling you this story. So yeah, so that I can honestly say, was a biggie. And I'm sure I've helped change thousands of lives. It's what I do, because that's why I guess, what keeps me busy or popular or whatever. But also, like I said, I also am an entertainer. I'm like, I don't know if you ever heard of Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium,
Oh yeah.
or John Edwards. So picture those two and Billy Crystal all wrapped up in one, and then you got me. So yeah, so I love meeting new people, and I love helping people out. I love joking around with life and keeping it light. And behind the scenes, when I have to get real, I step it up to take care of things behind the scenes. But on the most part, I'm not trying to sound like a book hog or a book whore about this, but with all honesty, the book that I wrote, Angels and Answers, this book has changed many people's lives, and it's a very, very simplistic way of reading. Meaning I talk about very deep subjects, but I explain it on a very, very simple level. And I talk about life, about God. I talk about angels and saints, and I talk about a lot of questions that people have about themselves, or why good things happen to bad people, and why bad things happen to good people, and why God allows everything to happen, all these bad things to happen. And I explain this, and it really gives a very healthy perspective. And I wrote a lot of beautiful poetry for a lot of people who are stuck in their life. And then there's another book. This is more about relationships. Have Your Angels Call My Angels. And so this book describes about your relationship with your lover, your relationship with your kids, your relationship with God, with work relationships, and it gives you back your power. That this book, Have Your Angels Call My Angels, gives you back your self-esteem, and it helps you look at yourself from a higher perspective, a better perspective, and how to talk to people and how to understand people. And there's, again, a lot of beautiful poetry. There's a lot of beautiful illustrations in there of cardinals and doves and, saints, angels. It's just, and I channeled the whole book. When I say channeled, in other words, when I wrote each of those books, all right. So, and I recommend this for everybody who wants to write a book. So there's so much to say, about someone's life or about a story you want to write, but it's like, where do I begin? So what I started to do was, when I was in sessions with people, and I said, oh, wow, that's a really good topic. And all I would do is write the chapter of the topic of what I want to talk about. And so I would write it down, and I'd write down another title or another chapter. All I did was write down the title, and I had all these titles. And then when it came time just getting ready to write it, I would just look at the title, and I said, I know what I want to say. So it's like when you just write you don't have to remember everything verbatim at first. All you have to do is remember the topic, and then everything else will just click in automatically. So that's what I recommend for people who want to write, a book. So it flows, it really does. And then I get channeling, and then it's like messages come to me out of right field. It's like when I'm driving, I don't even know how I get from point A to point B. I'm in la la land when I drive, and I never get in accidents, as I knock on wood. But yeah, it's just, I'm just on automatic pilot. It's, it's like when you're driving a stick shift. It's like you don't think about when you have to shift into second or third or fourth. It's automatic. You don't think about it if you know how to drive a stick. And if you don't know how to drive a stick, well, then you're shit out of luck.
There's an actual phrase for that. I can't remember what it is, but I've noticed it too, where you're thinking about, like I do a lot of problem solving for my work, and you're thinking about a problem and, just the automatic driving just kicks in and, suddenly I'll drive 20 minutes and not realize, how the heck did I get here? So when I don't remember what the exact phrase is, but there is an actual phenomenon that, when you're in deep thought, and about driving and like just everything automatic just kicks in, your body just takes over.
I mean, I've literally driven over long, big bridges while doing what I was doing. I mean, I do readings for people while I drive. And it's effortless for me. It literally is, because I'm in the zone. It's like I love to drive, but I'm in the zone when I'm driving. And it's like most of the times I don't have the music on. I like just to stay in quiet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my classic rock. I love all that kind of music and stuff. So I do get in the mood for it. But a lot of times I'm just in deep thought, and I don't even remember going over the Tappan Zee Bridge or the George Washington Bridge. And these are big ass bridges. And I'm like, did I just cross? Like, where am I? It's like I have to think where I am for a moment and just hope that I didn't miss a turn. But I do get there.
But do you prefer? I know this is just awkward, but do you prefer Tappan Zee over GWB?
Absolutely, I do. I really do. It's a more beautiful scene, and it's not as congested.
Yeah, I concur. Absolutely.
Yeah, the Tappan Zee is a lot smoother looking, and it's just a better ambiance. What can I tell you? Better structure, whatever. The George Washington, it's like honk, 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 large trucks, people. It's just
it's true.
It is. Plus, I feel like I'm in a box the whole way through, and you got to really pay attention. Tappan Zee. I got my arm over the chair. I'm driving like this. I'm like over the Tappan Zee.
GWB, when they got construction going on too, you'll be driving by and you see like big holes in the bridge, and it's like,
yeah, it can be a pain. It's not.
Tappan Zee, the Tappan Zee is a lot cleaner too.
Yeah,
it's a lot cleaner overall. I'm not saying that George Washington's a piece of dirt, but overall, the ambiance and around the Tappan Zee, hands down.
It's real pretty. It's a real pretty area up there. Yeah. Now, I have a great question for you, I think, because you brought up some things, channeling, perceptions, all that good stuff. So there's a perception of how things are, and there's a reality of how things are, and they may appear very different to an individual. So to be specific, how do you help people change perceptions and realities to get them the Zen or a positive state of mind they so desire?
Wow, that's a really good question. Damned if I know.
Hey, you've been doing this for 30 years.
I know. I've been doing it for a long time. How do I do it? Intuitive. Well, each reading is different. And a lot of times people see themselves as a victim. And so I tell everybody, you don't have to be on everyone else's emotional BS stage. You don't have to be on their stage. So a lot of times people feel like they're trained to think that they're wrong, that they're vulnerable, and that they're a victim. And I help them. I tell them that, your perspective, your happiness is just as important. Your opinions are just as important as anybody else's. And I tell them, I said, your happiness is not based on trying to make just everyone else happy. I said, what about your happiness? So I help them look at within their life as far as what's important to them and not just what everyone else's expectations are. That's the number one killer of people's soul, is people's expectations, especially people who are perfectionists. They're never happy. People are extreme perfectionists. I mean, there is a time and a place for everything. If you're doing brain surgery, yeah. If you're doing it, taxes, yeah. There's a time you have to be perfect. But when it comes to life itself, people have these super high expectations, and they drive themselves insane, or they try to meet up to someone else whose expectations are sky high, and they don't feel like they're worthy. So I help give people a healthy perspective, like I said before, about life, a healthy perspective about their life, and what they think means a lot. It counts. And so a lot of times people put too much on their plate, trying to do too much in one day, 1 week, 1 month, and they put everyone else's priorities ahead of theirs. And then I say, you need to pace yourself now. You can't, you can't just make everybody else's priorities over yours. I go, what's important to you? I'll give you a quick example. My parents were married for 64 years. All right. Now they stayed together probably 62 years too long, in my opinion. All right. It was a challenging relationship. My mother was the saint of all saints, and my father was a very emotionally challenging. So I always emotionally protected my mom from my dad in many ways. And so there was a time when I was going through a divorce, all right, through my first divorce. Yes, my first. When I was going through my first divorce, and, raised in a Jewish family. And so, any case, I was the only member of my own family that was going through a divorce, that ever went through a divorce. And and I found another girl who I fell in love with thereafter. And I finally told my mom about her. And I said, Mom, I said, I'm with another girl. I said, you're absolutely going to love her. She's beautiful, both inside and out. And she, of course, the first words out of her mouth was, is she Jewish? And I said, no, Mom. I said, she's not. I said, but you're going to love her. She said, do you know the kind of crap your father's going to give me? And I knew my father was going to give her crap. But I said to my mom, I said, as much as I love her, my number one person in the world, I said, Mom, I'm not responsible for your happiness. I said, I'm doing what feels right in my heart. And when you do what's right in your heart, you might disappoint a bunch of other people because you're not meeting up to their expectations. So a lot of people sacrifice their happiness and their life on behalf of other people's expectations. So my mom said to me, she says, you're right. So when I said to her, I says, Mom, I'm not responsible for your happiness. She says, you're right, I'll deal with it. And so a few days later, I walked into my house, into my parents' house, I should say. I grew up in that house. So I walked into my parents' house, and of course, my father's yelling bloody murder. I didn't expect anything less. And he goes, you have my blood running through your veins? I says, don't worry, tomorrow I'm getting a transfusion. So, and then, when people walk in, I hear voices in my head. I'm not going schizophrenia, but I'll hear voices in my head explaining what's going on with this person. Or I'll see pictures and images. Like right now, if you could picture what your kitchen looks like, or if you picture what your car looks like, that image you have in your head, that's how strong they send me images. Or the video of you getting ready this morning, getting up and getting ready this morning, or coming to the show, the little video. So I see videos. Or if you remember the last video of one of your favorite scenes of a movie, yeah, baby. Austin Powers, I love him. So, no, but that's how I see. And a lot of times the spiritual world will play songs in my head. And whatever the song is about, then that's what's going on with the person. There are times where I'm reading for somebody, and all of a sudden I'll have a thought about a friend I haven't seen or heard from in years, many years. But whatever was going on with the person that the spiritual world just showed me, whatever was going on with that person, that's what's going on with this person who I'm reading for. So it's really cool. So it's funny because they say if you talk to God, they call it prayer. If God talks to you, they call it schizophrenia.
I've heard that, yeah.
I just want to remind everybody, we mentioned Artie's books. I do have a link in the show notes, an Amazon link, and that'll go to both books right there. So you don't need to do any searching. It's right there. Patsy, did you have any questions before I go to mine?
Yeah. You mentioned that you're Jewish and you're a lot of what you do focuses around
Has nothing to do with the religion.
Right. And that's kind of what I was going to get at. Like it focuses on your faith, not your faith, but your spirituality and whatnot. How do you reconcile when you come to someone comes to you that maybe doesn't have a strong a sense of spirituality or faith or anything like that? Like how do you reconcile that? What techniques would you use to kind of
so basically skeptics?
Yeah, skeptics, agnostics, whatnot. Just maybe somebody who's, throughout their life, maybe they've had a rough life, and it's like, well, if God existed, how, why would all these bad things happen to me? So, someone along those.
No, it means absolutely nothing to me whether they believe in God or don't believe in God. It gives me an understanding of where they're coming from. But when I give them such clear, solid answers about their life or life itself, it's undeniable. It's just undeniable. I want to share with you a story that you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. And it was a lady who came to see me who was very skeptic and who was of that person that you described. Mm-hmm. And I actually wrote the story in the book, Angels and Answers. So I did a reading for her. I do what's known as Artie parties. People hire me. I go to their homes. I read for their friends and family, and one at a time. So anyway, so I'm reading for this one lady, and her half hour was up. I look at her mom's picture. When I communicate to people's loved ones, I usually need a picture. Not all the time, but when I see them in person, I look at the picture, and when I look in their eyes, they communicate to me in my thoughts. And so, anyway, I gave the information to this lady. I was connecting to her mother, and at the end of the reading, she said to me, she goes, "Art, I'm having a really hard time that you're actually communicating to my mother." She goes, "You told me some general things." She goes, "I give you credit." She goes, "The things you said, it did have to do with my mom. And you also mentioned some specifics that nobody knew that also had to do with my mom." She goes, "But I'm still having a hard time believing that you're actually talking to my mom." So I said to her, "All right, well, let me give you," I said, "I can only explain to you what the spiritual world shares with me." I said, "In my heart of hearts, I believe I'm talking to your mom." So I said, "Let me look at your mom's picture one more time." So she gave me her mom's picture. And I said, "Your mom is showing me cows." She goes, "What do you want me to do with that?" I says, "I don't know." So in my eyes mind, I saw all the cows get up on all fours. There's about 10 of them, 12 of them. And they all started to move. They were all moving. So I looked at her and I said, "Moo." And she started to break down crying. And I go, "What's the matter?" And she points to her mother's picture and she goes, "That's her name." I go, "What are you talking about?" "Her name's Muriel, but everyone called her Moo."
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I have lots of stories like that, but that's pretty powerful, that's, so the proof is in the pudding, and people say, people have an issue, being that you were talking about religion, who they find to be very Catholic, very religious, very Christian, whatever. And they go, "Oh, that's against my religion and that's against God and what you do and blah, 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 and that's the devil's work." And I tell people, I said, "Well, if you say what I do is the devil's work, then I need to shake his hands and thank him because he's really helped me heal thousands of people's lives." And I said, and I see everything in the white light. I said, "I do say my prayers every day. And I thank God for all my blessings, for all the wisdom, for all the protection. And I do everything with the white light." I said, "It might be against your religion, but it's not against God because it's what your intentions are behind your actions is what makes something right or wrong, no matter what you do." So there are people who do exactly what I do, but they do it to manipulate people, take advantage of people, steal their money and all that. And that's not what I'm about. So when I first started doing readings for the very first time for the public, and I first started to charge, I put an ad in the paper and it said, "If I don't pull through, no charge." And 90% of the people paid me. The other 10% I had to kill. but the 90%. So, and through word of mouth and a little more advertising, my whole career just took off like a bat out of hell. And I didn't have any intentions on doing this for a living. But lo and behold, I guess God had his own plans.
We had a question come in, but I just wanted to say on that note, when you were on with the Still Token with guys, I have to say, after the show, after you hung up, one of them came to me and said, what you said for him was so spot on, but he didn't want to let anything know, during the show. But it was, he said it was scary how spot on you were. Ryan wants to know, do you work with angels and God specifically, or do you work with other entities as well?
Yes, yes, and yes. I work with the Holy Spirit. I work with the angels. I work with the saints. I work with spirit guides. I work with your loved ones who have crossed over. Do I know in the moment exactly who I'm talking to? No. I mean, when somebody hires me to specifically communicate to their loved ones, all right, then I know I'm talking to their loved ones because their personalities come out. They're not morbid on the other side. When you cross over, you have no pain whatsoever, and a lot of them have a lot of funny personalities. I mean, they come up with some incredible jokes that I've never heard before in my life, and I share it with them. I go, "Oh my God, that is so funny!" Or I'll mimic their personality, I'll mimic their actions, or say what they say in the way that they say it. I could proudly say, I'm going to sound a little cocky, but I'm saying it just because it's funny and fun. All right, I don't mean to sound it like this, but I went to this one class at the Arthur Findlay Foundation. It's probably the #1 school in the world in England, and I went there for a week to be with a bunch of other top-notch mediums from around the world. Not so much as psychics, but mediums. So I was kind of nervous, so we all, after being with the classes for so many days, they had us do demonstrations. So now you have to perform in front of all your peers. And I'm getting a little nervous because some of these people are pretty freaking good. I got to tell you, I said, I don't know if I can meet up to that. So all of a sudden, it's one of my turns. So there's like 7 of us up on stage because there was a bunch of us, we took turns going up on stage. So there was like a panel of like 7 or 8 chairs on the stage. And so I'm at the corner and I'm watching everybody and I'm thinking to myself, I said, all right, well, they were pretty good. And I'm thinking, okay, they weren't that great, but all right, then maybe I stand a good chance. And then there are other people who are like freaking unbelievable. And so all of a sudden, when it's almost my turn, I hear a voice. I hear a voice in my head, and I felt a little tapping on the shoulder. It says, don't worry, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got this. And so I get up there, and I'm looking at the audience. I'm not looking at the panel of people, of the other mediums. I'm looking at the audience, which they all are mediums. And so I started to describe the guy, what he looked like, the way he was, his antics, what he says. And one of the women up on stage said, I could claim that. I know who that is. And so anyway, so I turned to her and I started to talk to her. Now, mind you, the girl is as beautiful as any Hollywood star you could imagine. It's not even debatable. She's just absolutely gorgeous. And so anyway, I said to the audience and I said to her, I said, I promise you, I'm not hitting on you. I promise you. I said, but I'm mimicking him. You look so unbelievable. You are the hottest thing I've ever seen in my life. And she starts to laugh and she goes, I could take that. I can relate to that. Because this guy was all about, he was into her. She used to own a deli. All right. And so she used to take care of this guy and he was an alcoholic. All right. So she used to take care of him and she let him come in and sometimes she would give him some free food and stuff like that. But, he let it be known to everybody like he was like totally into her, but she took it as fun, friendly, the neighborhood gang, that's the way it was. It was a neighborhood deli.
Sure.
And so all of a sudden he goes like this, he goes, and I went like this to her, I go, watch out, the warden's here, the warden, get up. And she starts to laugh, she goes, I could take that. And she goes, every time my husband would walk in, everybody had to be at their best behavior. There was no flirting around this because my husband was a little on the jealous side. So everyone was on their best behavior. So I mentioned a bunch of other things, but I was like mimicking him and I was talking the way he talked. And so anyway, when it was all said and done, And like a day later, because there's a lot of people who are going up on stage, even in other classes and whatnot, I got the most entertaining because everyone was just doing it proper. Everyone else was just giving flat out information. And they said this and they said that. Not me. I was totally into character and I was like going the whole, and the teacher did not like the way I did it. He goes, Artie, he goes, you're not proper and you better stop hitting on B. And it's not right to do that. And I said, I wasn't. And she stood up for it and she says, no, he really wasn't. This is the way the guy was. But he just hated the way that I was just, I told you that was the Billy Crystal in me. What can I tell you?
Indeed.
Chris Rock, Billy Crystal, call me whatever you want. But
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, actually, you get your question in, and then we'll get the question from one of our regulars.
Oh, sure. Okay. All right. So you mentioned when you met the Gentile girl, you had to do it for you and your happiness, not your parents. So helping and caring for your own happiness first. So I have an analogy that I told a really great friend today. And what it was is when a jet plane has trouble, the air masks fall. And so your first reaction is to put it on your children or others around you. But the experts say to put it on yourself first, because if you are fine and safe, then you can help the others. So the question is, so when you do your work by telling others to help themselves first and being fine in their own skin, does that allow those you help to then focus on others' happiness and rub off their personal contentment on others, making them a better person because then they are not looking out for the me anymore, but are looking out for the us?
Well, you said it perfectly. That was a very good analogy because I've used the exact same analogy about what you just said by putting on the mask on you first and then helping out other people. And, it builds up people's confidence. It makes them a happier person. It makes them more secure within themselves. And so when they're happier, now you have to understand, when you're used to being taken advantage of by your kids, by your spouse, by everybody else, so long as you keep on accommodating them, why should they change? Even if you ask them, could you do this? Could you do that? Could you do this? No. They don't pay attention. They don't listen. And it's like, oh, I hear you bitching and complaining, but, my life still continues. You're still accommodating everybody. Why are you still accommodating everybody if they are not respecting you? So it's about creating boundaries. So I teach people about creating boundaries for yourself. And when you create boundaries for yourself, then people have to step up if they want to be in your world. So I always tell people I look for two things in life. I look to be liked and I look to be respected. But if you are only giving me one choice, I'd rather you respect me than to like me, because then I know who I am. I always know who I am when you're respecting me, and everybody else will. If you don't like me, well, that's okay, but I'm not doing anything to hurt you. But if you're going to be in my garden, if you're going to be on my playing field, then there's certain integrity. There's a certain integrity. And don't get me wrong, I'm not all about straight lace and father knows best and stuff like that. That's furthest thing from the truth. But I am all about respect and boundaries. And I joke around a lot and I horse around a lot. And that's my personality, But yes, it makes them a much happier person. But you are going to tick off a lot of people once you start stepping up your game. Because once you stop meeting up to everyone else's expectation on a whim, all right. So it's like, hey, Johnny, clean up your room, and then once you clean up your room, I'll take you to your friend's house. And a lot of times kids don't, and then a lot of times the parents still take them because they don't want to hear it. But you want to know something? If you're smart, you're going to sit back, you're going to do your own thing, and you're going to hear them bitch and complain, the kids, and say, I asked you to do something, and you didn't do it, so screw you. You're not going to get what you want.
That's what I had.
You're not going to do it. But too many people, and not just with parents to kids, but parents to lovers, the wife, or a lot of times I see this a lot, where the wife or the girlfriend will accommodate their spouses, cooking, cleaning, intimacy, the whole 9 yards. And you're giving your husband or your boyfriend everything that they want, but yet they're not, giving you nearly half in return. And then you feel very insecure. It's like, well, you've created it. So then if you want them to step up their game, then stop performing for them Because once you cut them off by the air supply, their air supply and their blood supply of what emotionally, makes them happy, then they'll start to step up their game. And if they cut you off, well, then they were in it more for themselves. Because what can you do for me? If you're not going to accommodate me, I screw you. So they were in it more for themselves and not for you, or not as a couple. So, you get to really realize who really loves you unconditionally and who loves you with conditions.
Right.
If anyone's just only around you because of conditions, then you don't need those people in your life. They only care about themselves. They don't care about you.
That's true.
Makes sense.
Anyway, that's what I would do if I was president.
I had a follow-up question to that, but just to get in, Victoria is asking if you could possibly give her a reading. But before you do, on that same note, with giving in to everybody's whims, how do you feel that works with like your employment? If you're, always the first to raise your hand if somebody needs help, always trying to give, 120%. But you notice that, you're the only one offering help.
Okay. I'm going to explain a couple of things. In that moment, remind me of the phrase golden handcuffs. All right.
Okay.
In that moment, you're being you. I don't care about everybody else. They're not doing their job. I know what my work quality is. I know what I should be doing. If everybody else is slacking, then that's their integrity. That's their world. I'm doing the best that I can as an employee because I want to, because that's what I feel is right. If other people don't carry the same values, well, then that's on them. What I would have a bone about, if I'm doing all the work or most of the work and everyone else is getting paid the same, then I have a right to complain, and I would definitely speak up to the boss and say, this isn't right. I'm doing all the work. They're sitting on their butts and they're getting just as much credit, or if not just as much money. That's not right. So a lot of people, now I'm going to go to golden handcuffs. A lot of people have what's known as golden handcuffs. Golden handcuffs is when you're at a job or you're in a relationship you don't like, but yet the benefits are just good enough, it keeps you there. And it's usually for financial reason or insurance reasons. And so people stay in a place where they can't stand it because it's the security. So it takes, a set of balls by somebody where they're doing what's right by them and say, you know what, I'd rather have less and do what makes me happy than to live in this unhealthy environment, whether it be at home or whether it be at work, But you don't get rid of dirty water. My father would always say this. You don't get rid of dirty water till you find new. Because it's very important to have something lined up. And then you say, I'm out of here, because it will give you more confidence. But if you have nothing to go to and stuff, and you say, oh God, now where am I going to make up that kind of money? And now you have a whole nother set of stress. And sometimes it might take you a few weeks, a few months, even a couple of years until you're actually able to get out of this predicament or this situation. But so long as you're creating an island, creating a destiny of something so that, you could be happy to go to. If you have nothing to go to or to live for, then you're going to end up remaining stuck and on that same hamster wheel. And the same thing with people who are caught on drugs. I always tell people, Artie, I just had a reading with somebody today. She says, Artie, do you see my daughter getting better? And I say to her, as I say to everybody else in this situation, you need to give them something exciting to look forward to so that when they get clean, that you're going to help. They're going to get a good job. You're going to help them with the house. They could see their kids. You've got to create the dream so that when they're clean, if they have absolutely nothing to look forward to once they're clean, if they have nothing to look forward to, they're going to slip right back because they have no motivation to do anything with their life or something that makes them happy or fulfilling. So it's very important to help them find something that catches their niche.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Now we had Victoria, which is one of our regulars, asking, would you be able to say a little something for her?
This is Victoria Maurice.
Yep.
All right, give me just a moment.
Sure.
I feel like she doesn't like to be alone, but yet she seems to do very well when she is on her own. She seems to think better. And I feel like there are times when she's in a room of people, she feels like she's by herself, even with a room of people. And I'm also feeling like she's been trying a lot to get ahead in life, but it's like she can't catch a break. It feels like for every few steps she takes ahead, she ends up going a few steps backward, and she gets very discouraged. I feel like she does love to do acts of kindness. And it does personally make her feel good when she knows that she's made a difference with someone else's life. Like she's very empathetic to other people. Ask her if anything I said just made any sense.
Okay. Victoria, post in the comments if anything made sense.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And she needs to come to an acceptance of how certain people are around her. She's trying to help somebody out. She's trying to help somebody out who is really not trying hard enough to help themselves out. And she's tried really hard. And she needs to come to a place of acceptance that if somebody does not want the help, then it's only going to go so far. But what I'm actually getting is that her love and support is actually going to help somebody climb a major hurdle to get to their next steps. Does this make any sense whatsoever?
She said everything. And I know Victoria, and from what you're saying, yeah, it's from what I know, you hit on quite a bit there.
So, like I said, she doesn't want to give up on someone, but at the same token, what I tell people, you don't want to do everything for them. You don't want to do everything for them because then appreciation turns into entitlement. So you want to help guide them to their next step. I will help you so long as you're helping yourself. But if you're still making bad choices, but you can't meet your bills, I'm sorry, I'm not going to enable you if you're not going to try to help yourself. But if you're really making a gallant effort to make a difference in your life or whatnot, then I'll give you my heart and soul, and I'll do whatever I can. And so she gets very happy at moments, and then she gets very frustrated. And then there's progression, and then it goes backwards. But yet she loves this person so much, it's like she can't give up. But I give her credit because she does have an open mind, but her mind works better when she steps back. And then she thinks about it. When she steps back away from the person or the situation, she thinks about it. Hearing too much from other people, it frustrates her because they give her logical advice, but emotionally, it doesn't make sense for her situation. Like people try to give her advice of what to do or how she should be, but I hear what you're saying, but emotionally, you're not in my shoes and it wouldn't work. I understand what you're saying, but it's not working for me, or I can't do that because of this and that, or you should just give up. And it's like, I'm not giving up because I love too much or I'm too much emotionally invested. Does this make sense?
Okay, we'll wait for her to respond. And so while we wait for Victoria to respond, have you, over the past year and everything with the pandemic and everything, have you noticed any sort of like shift? She says you're incredible.
Oh, thank you. Tell her the check is in the mail.
Have you noticed like any large shift, like in the spiritual side? Has there been, has it been louder, or has there been any extra stresses or whatnot?
My God, talk about! I mean, it's like literally life altering. I mean, this whole pandemic, it's life altering on many levels. People who live just in the physical world of aspect of life, their lives have gone downhill. people who are more spiritual or more open to the bigger picture, a lot of lives have actually improved. Because like 911, after 911 happened, more people became generous. More people started looking things as a unity, as one. What's going on right now with the government and with everything is being separated. There's a lot of separation, and they don't want you to become more spiritual and more connected with God. And that's a sin. It really is. It's a sin. And it's important that there's unity with people. Within unity, there's strength. And unfortunately, there's a lot of organizations out there, I'll say it that way, that are trying to make that not happen. And I'm going to give you a really beautiful example. And I explain this in my book, Angels and Answers. We are all, let's go to the ocean. All right, we're at the ocean. We are all a drop of water. All right. In each drop of water of the ocean carries the entire DNA, the makeup of the entire ocean. The entire ocean is God. All right, is the Holy Spirit of the universe. It is God. That's the whole ocean. Now, a lot of people who separate themselves from other people, or from the Holy Spirit, or from religion or spirituality, I'll say, from spirituality. When you separate yourself, you become powerless. And I'll give you a perfect example. If you looked at the ocean, and I asked you, I said, Leo, wouldn't you say that the ocean is very powerful? All right, and the drop of water that you're a part of, you're a part of it. Now, if I was to take, I don't have a cup, but let's just say I had a cup, all right, and you took a cup and put it in the ocean, and you have the water of the ocean in the cup, but it's not a part of the ocean. This water right now is powerless because it no longer has the power of all the beautiful energy that the ocean provides. So now that you've separated yourself from the beautiful spirit and all the beautiful energy that the angels and God has to offer, your life becomes more challenging, you're more angry, you're more hurt, you're more sick, you're more whatever. So if you throw the water back in, all of a sudden that water now becomes a part of that beautiful energy force again. So when you separate yourself from people, from energy, from spirituality, it's stronger in numbers, and the overall government knows that, and so they're creating a huge separation, and so it's very challenging. So it makes people have to become, well, they don't have to, but it makes a lot of people become more spiritual or more aware or stronger. And then for other people, they're so devastated because everything that they've always counted on and had is now destroyed. And so they don't know how to pick up again, so it has a strong effect on different people in many ways. During the whole pandemic, my parties went way down, but my private readings went through the roof. I've been a lot busier privately. I'm just as accurate when I do phone readings or FaceTime readings as I am in person. I'm in Woodbridge, New Jersey. So, it's a huge tourist trap. Only kidding. So anyway, and when I read people, as everyone just saw for Victoria, I don't have to physically be with her. It has nothing to do with person to person or physically being in each other's company. It's all about my soul connecting to her soul.
Yeah, I remember when you were on with the Still Token guys, you did a reading for me, and you're spot on. And it's just it's crazy. Crazy.
It amazes me. I'm the one who does it, and I'm still amazed by that something like this exists. I could drive a car just as good as anybody else. I haven't a damn clue underneath the hood, the mechanics of it all. It's the same thing. I know how to do it, but the dynamics, I have a pretty good understanding about it. But the detailed information, it's like trying to figure out what God is all about. No one ever knows what God is all about. We only use a small percentage of our brain. But
totally.
I'm trying to access a few more other pieces of my brain cells that haven't been used yet. So hopefully that's been helping.
Got a bunch of people watching, so if you have questions, please post them in the comments. And then Victoria did say thank you. Justin Bellinger says, hey, guys. And Philip, you're saying when you can see a person's soul, that's something special. Philip, you're right here. You can say it out loud.
Well, that's true. But
I know you're.
It was just a comment. It was just a comment.
I know you're chatting for the
You
people.
want to know something? I want to share with you something really powerful that, being that you just mentioned that, one of my friends used to teach theology in class. He's actually a gastrologist by trade, but he teaches theology at night at a college course. He used to back in the years. He doesn't anymore. And so him and I used to have some pretty interesting, deep conversations. So he said to me, he goes, Art, one of my students came up to me and I didn't know how to answer her. He goes, what's your take on this? He goes, his student asked him this question, is the mind, body, and spirit, are they individual? Are they separated, or are they all one? He goes, how would you answer that? And I honestly didn't know in the moment. And I sat back, and this is when the spirit will communicate to me and give me the answer. And I said, the mind creates, the body reacts, and your soul observes and feels. And so they all do their duties individually, but they all act as one. It's like a car. Transmission, engine, the four wheels, steering wheel. They're all individual pieces, but they all act as one unit. And that's the best way I could describe it. The mind, body, and spirit.
How early in your life did you realize that you were a psychic medium?
Last week. I said, damn, I'm pretty good at that. I think I got that title. No, actually, when I was 27 years old. I didn't have spit before the age of 27. I literally went to the Edgar Cayce Foundation in Virginia Beach. And I got in the junk mail of all places. In the junk mail. I'm going through the junk mail in my kitchen. And there was a postcard, and it said, how would you like to develop your psychic ability and intuitiveness? Come to the Edgar Cayce Foundation in Virginia Beach for this one weekend seminar. I said, oh, damn, I didn't know you could learn how to do this. I figured either you had it or you didn't. So I asked my wife at the time, I says, hey, you want to try this? This looks pretty interesting. And I did it just for shits and giggles, not thinking that it was the answer to my prayers. And she says, I don't give a crap about that. She goes, you can go if you want. I'm not interested. And so I went away, and they taught you how to open up your heart and mind. And there's 50 of us from all different parts of the country. And there's one large room, and they got you in that Zen mode. And they were playing this beautiful music, and they were talking to you about opening up your mind and spirituality and no limitations, no boundaries, and just let things flow. And it's okay to be wrong. There's no such thing as wrong. Just share your information of whatever you get. And so when you're not afraid to fall, you fly. And most people were telling me how accurate I was, and I was like blown away. I was excited with every single one as people were doing the same to me, you know. And so I went home and I got myself a deck of spiritual cards, and I started reading for friends and family for a few years, and just for the fun of it, no money, just for the fun of it. And again, people were telling me how accurate I was, and it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it makes you want to do it a little more. And a little, hey, Art, you want to? Sure. Anyone who's asked me, sure, you know? And yeah, so it was pretty cool. And then I got to a point where I screwed up in investments. I had two solid investments that I knew in my heart and soul that they were going to take off. There was no doubt in my mind that these stocks were going to. So I borrowed $20,000, $10,000 from two people, money that I did not have at all, but I was so confident. And so I invested. And after 5 years, I was down 5,000. Talk about fuming, angry. And wouldn't you know it, by Murphy's Law, When I tell you the moment I sold those stocks, boom, 6 months later, one of the stocks went up 100% and the other stock went up 650%.
Oh, wow.
So my $20,000 would have been worth over $100,000 had I waited. But I didn't have the means to try to pay everybody back. I just thought, all right, if it went down a little bit, no big deal, come right back. But no, it's going down and down. And when I tell you within the week, and so I'm sitting on my living room couch and I'm saying, what am I going to do to make up the money? You know, I paid back everybody and I had to borrow $5,000 from another friend so I could pay back. Plus I gave $1,000 interest after using it for a year to each of them. I said, where am I going to make up this kind of money, the difference other than the money that I already make? And so I said, you know what? I know how to do readings. So I threw an ad in the paper. And then by word of mouth, it just took off like. And so in my book, and I have that story in my book, I say that loss was the biggest gain of my life. So when you think you want something really bad and God is holding you back or situations are holding you back, there's a reason why you're being delayed. There's a reason why you're being held back, you know? And yeah, I mean, there's that cliche, you know, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger, but it really is true. You know how they say where there's a will, there's a way. In the Jewish religion, where there's a will, there's a relative.
Makes sense.
I'm definitely a firm believer that, you know, if it's meant to happen, things will happen. You know, it's.
I strongly believe that, you know, they say, you know, God has his picture. You know, you could plan all you want, but God has his own plans. But a lot of reality is, it's not just if it's within God's will. If it's within your will to make something happen, then it's within God's will. God will support you in whatever your heart's desire is, whether it's good for you or not. Now, you will get signs to try to block you from going in that direction. Or there might be more pain or more losses to keep you from going in that direction. And that's God creating that, or the angels creating that. All right. But sometimes people's will are so strong, the ego is so strong that they still want to go after what they want to go after. And then they end up crashing. And they try, and the spirit or the angels try to give signs to say, hey, slow down or stop, or you're getting delayed. There's a reason. So if you could pay attention to your gut feelings, you're going to do really good. So a lot of times people put all their effort and energy into this one partner in life, this particular person, but yet this person is not meeting up to your personal expectations or needs, or they do everything out of obligation rather than from the heart, out of love. And it's like you want this so bad, but yet you want to know something? You're looking for steak and lobster, but the restaurant you're going to is only serving hamburgers and French fries. And you're expecting so much from this one relationship or this one situation, whatever it may be, but they're not the ones that deliver it for you. You're in love with the fantasy of who they could be, or you're in love with the fantasy of who you thought they were or who they used to be, but they're no longer that same person. And you still keep on holding and trying and holding and trying. It's all about accepting the person for who they are, not what you want them to be. So it's your choice. Is this compromisable? Can we talk? Can we compromise our differences? And if not, then you have to come to a conclusion. Do you want to live in hell with them? Or do you want to say, you know what? It's not working. It's time to move on. So these are big time decisions.
Where were you 21 years ago?
I know. I tried, but you wouldn't listen. A lot of people say that to me. Where were you, Artie? Where were you my whole life? Yeah.
That's great advice. It's
about accepting, you know. There's a beautiful saying that I saw over the internet. I'll never forget this, and I'm always going to share it with the public. I used to walk into a room of people thinking, will they accept me? Now I walk into a room of people thinking, will I accept them?
Well, it kind of reminds me of the I don't know how familiar you guys are with RuPaul's Drag Race, but she ends every show with, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? That kind of seems to be like the same message that you got going on here.
I believe that, but I don't believe that. There's a yes and a no to that statement. The yes, obviously, it's important in relationships that you love yourself while you're loving your partner, because then you're making your partner the responsibility for your happiness rather than you making yourself responsible for your happiness. But when it comes to kids, you could hate yourselves, but man, you could love your kids and your grandkids to death. And people do all the time, every day, every moment, but yet they still have this low self-esteem. So that's true when it comes to different aspects of relationships.
I think that makes sense.
So there's different aspects of love. So a part of that's true when it comes to personal relationships, but when it comes to your kids and grandkids, all the time, people don't have a high self-esteem, but they love with all their heart and soul, their kids and grandkids, and they do anything for them. It's purely unconditional love, if somebody says to you, if you really love me, then you'll do this. It's like, oh, so now you're loving me with conditions. Can I just love you even if I didn't do it? So, but sometimes people say that playfully and jokingly, if you really love me, you'll buy me that $20,000 diamond ring, or you'll take me to Hawaii, or you'll take, well, I guess I love you, honey, but I guess not that much, but I do love you. There's a difference between, a lot of times when I meet people for the first time, I could easily say the words, I love you, and I really mean it. So a couple of girls have said to me, Artie, well, how do you know you love me? I said, well, I'm a people person and you're a people. And I said, I believe you have a good heart. And I said, so yeah, I do love you. I don't know if I like you. I don't know if I like you. I haven't hung out with you. It's like ice cream. I love ice cream, but I don't like all flavors, So yeah, I could easily love everybody and give my best foot forward. But if I'm not getting appreciation or reciprocation or some kind of positive energy, or they're just a negative, I don't take it personal. It's just, that's who they are. That's their space that they're in. A lot of times you can get angry at people, because they're acting asinine. But if you kind of change your perception from anger to compassion, it's like, why are they always angry? Well, if you grew up in a family where you lost your father and your mother abused you, I can understand why you're not a good communicator, or you don't give a shit, or whatever. I can understand that. Or, you tend to say, or your parents are always needling you that you can never do anything right in your life. You're a loser, you're right. So therefore they project that onto other people. So what I did in my life, my dad was very much so like that. My dad was extremely negative. And so what I did was, he caused so much pain to my mom, how I saw her, the way she was, so many ways, not physically, emotionally. And with other people, there was no way I wanted to be that to other people. So I wrote my dad a thank you note, a thank you letter for being my dad. I said, because of you, I know exactly what not to do. Wow. So it was a sarcastic letter of thanks, but yet it wasn't. My mom taught me what love is. She was the beautiful, wonderful person and saint. And my dad had love in his heart. Don't get me wrong. My dad wasn't all bad. He could be very generous and he's very nice. He could be funny. But a lot of times, very moody, very arrogant, very narrow-minded. So I got to tell you a funny story. Being that I put my dad down, Dad, I got to give you some kudos right now. My parents are both up there in heaven. So my parents were at the 55 plus club with the JCC, the Jewish organization, and my parents at the time were about 70 years old. And my father likes to help out people. And so there was a lady right next to my father at the buffet table. There was a show going on that night. And so my father said, here, let me help you. So he's helping this 90-year-old lady help put food on her plate. And so he was flirting with her, joking around. My mother's telling me the story. She told me what happened afterwards because she's not jealous. And so my father goes to the lady next to the 90-year-old. He goes, so you want me to spend the night? And the lady looks at her and goes, the whole night? She goes, why? Is it going to take you that long?
That's pretty good.
That's the Jewish shtick humor. You want to spend the whole night? Why? Is it going to take you that long? That's too funny. Quick wits. Quick wits. That's my whole family. Quick wits.
I want to remind everybody that information for Artie you can find in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So you can check out his website where you can contact him if you're looking for readings yourself or if you're interested in his books. The links are there as well. I know we're running a little bit past on time, but we're having a lot of fun. Philip and Patsy, did you guys have any other questions?
No, the other question I had, you kind of answered earlier about, dealing with different, spiritual entities and whatnot. So that was a question that I had, but you already answered that one earlier. So I don't know, Phil, if you have anything.
Yeah, no, I was able to get all my questions in, so that was great. I'm glad Artie joined us and gave us some great stuff.
Yeah, I am.
Gave you a lot to think about.
Well, we love having you on, Artie. I'm going to ask you one final question. And my first wife passed on. I'm wondering if she's brought anything to you, or if you hear anything, or.
Did she have a very joking around personality, and did she like Halloween?
Yes.
Okay. Because when you're saying, is she around, and she's being very joking right now, because she's dressed up like she is a ghost, like a ghost/witch, and she's going, ooh, and she's saying, she said, honey, she goes, I'm not going to come around and scare the hell out of you. She goes, you're waiting for these strong signs or banging on the walls or that's her, that's her, that's her. And she goes, honey, that's not me. She goes, just always know. She goes, where I live is within your heart. She was a very endearing type person, I gather. To come out, and that did not come from me, like that saying, like, I just didn't whip that up, but that's what I got from her. I got a very playful personality, but yet a pure heart, a really good heart. And she goes, I just want you to know that I really am. I'm okay. But honey, pay attention to the lights that will be flickering on and off. That will be me. And when you hear the chimes, when you hear the church bells, the chimes, and when you see the lights flickering on and off, she goes, I'm around you. She goes, I'll let you know I'm around you, but in a very subtle way. She goes, I don't want to scare the hell out of you.
Okay, that's
And you'll let me know afterwards.
That was one thing that that kind of freaked me out after she passed. But actually, the night she did pass is I was woken up by some flashes of light in the room. And the drive back from the hospital, the street lamps were like
flickering on and off.
Yeah.
That was her. Yeah, she's mentioning the floodlights.
Yeah,
and you could pay attention to more of that. She says, I want you to know I'm in a beautiful place, and I'm not that I do not want to be with you, but under the circumstances, I'm in a very happy place. And I tell people, when you cross over, you are no longer, all your loved ones that were like physically tortured from cancer or from any other horrific disease, the moment the soul leaves the body, all pains go away. And so if you could picture Hawaii times 10, that's what it's like over on the other side. That's the beauty and how powerful the love is on the other side. So she's doing well, but she supports you 100%, 100% all the way. 100%. Go Rays. Go Rays.
Go Rays.
Was she a sports fan?
No.
Okay. Something is that I haven't even been paying attention to baseball. Is the Tampa Bay Rays?
Yeah, they're doing real good. They're doing real good.
For whatever reason, All right. So this is coming from your wife, and I'm saying this on air. All right. So based on what I'm getting from what I got from your wife, I strongly believe in my heart and soul the Rays are going to go all the way.
It's possible.
Now, do I know that? I got to tell you right before I leave. So I was doing a reading for this one guy, and I was communicating to his father, and he said, "You can't beat the system." He goes, "I know exactly what that means." He goes, "Him and I used to try to pick out the winner of the horse races in the newspaper. Not that we bet, but we try to pick them out and see if we could do it just by, you know." He says that was our thing. And I looked at him and I said, "He told you. He's telling you right now. Bet on Philadelphia Eagles. They're going all the way to the Super Bowl." And he goes, "I don't know if they're going to win, but if they don't win, they will cover the spread." And that year, the Eagles went 8-0 the first 8 games. They made it through the playoffs. They made it to the Super Bowl. They lost, but they covered the spread. And he ended up having an Artie party, and he goes, "Thanks to you, I won thousands of dollars." I go, "Well, thank your dad, not me."
Oh, that's awesome. Donna Marie says, "I had a dream about my grandmother killing herself at the age of 16, and it came true, and I was the one who cut her down." Oh, no. My granny, Geraldine McGowan, 62. Sorry to hear that.
Wow, very sorry to hear that. Yeah, yeah. There are people who do get premonitions in their dreams. I don't. I mean, I'll get messages about myself metaphorically, and then I have to look up what dreams mean because I don't know what dreams mean. So, you know, I get metaphors of signs in dreams. But do I see things in the future like other people do? No, I don't. But I do get messages that are sent to me from, I guess, my spirit guides, and they tell me that I was going to be in a situation because I had a dream where I saw a bunch of elephants walking across a low river, and there was an alligator that came out, surprisingly, with one of the baby elephants and ate him whole and took him down and started eating him up. And I looked at this and I was like mortified. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And there was nothing I could do. And I woke up and I felt like crap. And so when I looked up, when an alligator swallows another animal or a person whole, it means you're going to be put in a situation where there's nothing you could do about it. You're going to experience a situation of somebody who you're going to feel really bad about, and there's not a damn thing you could do about it. And that's exactly what happened a year thereafter, the whole year. And it just killed me to see somebody go through such torture in their relationship. And they're in a different country, and there's absolutely nothing I could do about it to help them. I mean, I gave them emotional support, but physically I couldn't do a damn thing. So,
well, Artie, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Phil, crocs are Africa, not alligators.
Good day, mate. After that, good day, mate. It's a pleasure speaking to you all.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening, and definitely learn more about Artie. He has a bunch of information in the show notes up above or down below. Check out his books, or, you know, if you want your own Artie party, reach out to him, and he does virtual
private reads too. Yeah,
private reads. Artie, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
Wait, say that again.
Where do you like people interacting with you on social media? Are you a Facebook person? Are you Twitter? Instagram?
No, actually, phone call and text is the most efficient. After that, it's Messenger. You know, email Messenger. Facebook, I'm really slow at. I will respond, but I'm really slow when it comes to cyberspace. I'm going to be honest. Twitter, no. But Facebook, Messenger, and email. But like I said, the fastest, call me or text me.
Awesome. And you can find all that information in the show notes. Just head on over to his website. For me, just Google Leo Pond. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which. But I run the Dorkening Podcast Network, which, you know, like this show here, multi-award winning through Amalgamania Podcast Awards this weekend. And
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, I do a free Facebook Live show called Angels and Answers, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And it's a Facebook Live called Angels and Answers, and I read people for free for 1 hour. Well, it goes a little over an hour, hour 15 minutes. And yeah, and I connect to people's loved ones. I talk about their love life, their future, everything. People, they're allowed one question. The ones who are lucky enough to get picked, one question. And the funny thing is like consistently when girls say, Artie, do you see me getting pregnant? And I say, yeah, when you stop watching my show and get in the bedroom, your odds go way up.
And you do that through Facebook, you said?
Yeah, Facebook. Yeah, Angels and Answers. Artie Hoffman's Angels and Answers.
Awesome. Every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Eastern time. Yeah, it's very entertaining. I promise you that.
Very cool. We'll make sure we be on the lookout for that and share when we can. Philip, where do you like people interacting with you?
Folks can interact with me on Facebook. They can go to the Dark Discussions Podcast Facebook group, darkdiscussions.com. And for the main podcast of the network, we just did our 500th episode.
Awesome.
Patsy.
You can find me here every Monday, every Thursday, unless we have a specific reason why we're not doing Thursday, like say we're doing Saturday because we have an interview that day. But generally every Thursday on Throwdown Thursday, you can find news and articles and updates and whatnot on throwdownthursdaypodcast.com. You can also find me coming up within the next couple of weeks on the Loudest Sports Show. Once again, we're going to be gearing up for football season. And where else can you find me? I don't know, all over the place. We're everywhere. We have Facebook groups for everything. And Shark Bites is back again. I have a great interview with author Daphne Suman, whom I interviewed earlier today. I had to do it early this morning because she is in Greece. So it was a really cool interview, and we talked about some really awesome stuff and how it pertains to her book, which is absolutely phenomenal, called The Silence of Scheherazade. And I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. And Don Marie says, go on YouTube, please. And
actually, this Sunday is going to be my very first one. I'm going to be doing. I should have been on YouTube years ago. I've been doing this show now for about 5 years. And my ex-girlfriend says, Art, you need to get on YouTube. You need to get on YouTube. I don't know social media and all that crap. So finally, I got a friend who really knows her stuff. And she said she's going to help me get on YouTube now.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm going to start doing it this Sunday. Yeah.
You know, if you do StreamYard, you could do it to both. And then there's another one called Melon where you can actually like take payments during the show. But if any questions you have, just feel free, reach out to me. You know, I don't mind helping out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, always glad to help. And with that, you know, like I said, check the show notes and we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Awesome. Take care.